better Bay Area. Moving forward, finding solutions. This is ABC7 News.
Homelessness is becoming one of the top issues for many communities. Residents and merchants in San Francisco's Castro District are holding an emergency meeting this evening to discuss new strategies. ABC7 News reporter Lyanne Melendez spent the day in the Castro and is here with more. Lyanne.
Well, the first thing people in the Castro will tell you is that this is not a homeless problem. It is a drug problem. And because there has been a lot of outreach in the Tenderloin district, some of those people on the streets who refuse to get help don't want to be bothered and have moved to the Castro and other neighborhoods. And ask anyone there and they will say it's never been this bad.
Hi, good morning. Okay, is everybody out? We're just going around the corner.
Thursday afternoon, a group of seniors traveled from Sebastopol to the Castro district to take a neighborhood tour with Kathy Amendola.
Okay, everybody follow me.
All of the tourists who come here are warned about the homeless crisis. This is what they will see as they walk around.
I explained we have a lot of unique individuals in San Francisco, and I asked them to go with the flow.
People like Miles Robert, a homeless man who now occupies the entire front of this abandoned building.
I came here about last November.
From where?
Texas.
But in most cases, the word unique doesn't quite apply here. Ask anyone who has been verbally or physically attacked by one of the people living on the streets.
There was a young fellow, I suspect he was mentally ill. He spat on me the other day. He was smoking something in my parklet, and I had to ask him to leave.
Just last week, one of my managers was punched by somebody. It's just absolutely out of control, and until we address it as something other than homelessness, it's not going to get fixed.
Amendola herself continues to be harassed by this man.
He constantly verbally screamed at myself and my groups.
While we were there, we saw no police on foot and only one patrol car. Most everyone here agrees the drug problem here has reached a critical point.
We are experiencing a heavy meth and fentanyl problem and the lifestyles that go with it. And again, without public officials upholding current laws, this is what happens.
The supervisor for this district, Raphael Mandelman, agrees.
There's a strong political constituency that doesn't believe in that believes that any sweeps of encampments are wrong, even if you are offering services and shelter first.
That board very divided. Tonight's meeting will be on Zoom and will include people in the Castro and anyone who lives or works in District 8. The plan is to brainstorm and come up with demands for the Board of Supervisors. And guys, I have a feeling this will be a very long meeting. In the newsroom, Lyanne Melendez, ABC7 News.
All right, Lyanne, thank you. Joining me now is ABC7 News insider Phil Matier. In your opinion, what's happening with the Castro homeless situation?
Well, first of all, let's redo, as they mentioned in Lyanne's piece, the definition or homeless. We're not just dealing with the homeless problem. As a matter of fact, we in the media years ago, when we adopted that term, actually were using it as an umbrella that covered everyone from mentally ill to the drug-addled and addicted. And that's what we're seeing on the streets. We're seeing people not necessarily that are homeless. They may have a shelter, but they are out on the streets during the day and the night, increasingly erratic behavior brought on by drugs. In the Castro, for example, about a year ago, they were talking about, let's put up cameras around so we can keep an eye on things. And I went up there and said, well, what's the problem? They said, our windows are getting smashed. And I said, well, smash and grab theft, that's the problem? They said, no. These people are just out of their minds, and they're smashing the windows to smash the windows. They will smash 3 or 4 at a that's what you're seeing, is that their erratic behavior. When we call it homeless and just leave it calling homeless, everybody says the solution is to build more housing. That's part of the solution, but the real challenge is mental and drug abuse.
Right. So there's a lot of different directions that we can go with this. Part of the problem here is that if this is allowed to spread throughout the entire city, then San Francisco has a larger problem.
It's not limited to San Francisco. If it spreads around the Bay Area, and it is.
Well, it already has.
It already has. And so if we're, without taking into account the drug aspect of this, which a lot of it we're dealing with here, and the mental ill, what you're having is a constant definition of let's get people housing, let's get people housing. But the people that don't want to go into the housing because they're drug addicts or they're mentally ill are going to stay where they are. That is the second part of the problem that we're only now starting to really address seriously.
So you think the drugs should be prioritized, dealing with that, and then the homeless part might take care of itself if you dealt with the drugs first? Is that
well,
what you're
if
saying?
you dealt with the drugs, then you might be able to get them into the point where they would want to go into housing,
Right.
where they would want to go on the road to recovery. But as long as they're using heavy fentanyl or meth, which sends you into the stratosphere, you're not going to go in that direction.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this off camera quite a bit. Given the political leanings in the state of California, people are just not going to go for, okay, sorry, you're coming with me, and that's the end of it.
I'm going to tell you, that we're having that ongoing debate in San Francisco now. Mayor London Breed, they call it consequences. There needs to be consequences. That they don't want to say enforcement, because that's what you're saying. You're coming with me, going to jail or the shelter. In Los Angeles, they're opening up a mayoral campaign down there. The #1 issue, how to deal with this, the same debate. You go, Governor Gavin Newsom recently said, we've got to change the focus. It's got to be more about the drugs and in conjunction with homeless. So there is a change going on in the discussion about it.
And some communities have dealt with it better. San Diego has done it better. Salt Lake City is a city that's done it better. We could do this for an hour.
Boston, you could go on.
We could talk about this for a long time. There are some potential solutions, but the other thing that we're having a smaller class in this police academy.
As we had in the Castro, we were talking about, they were up there and they didn't see foot patrols. The reason they're not seeing foot patrols, they don't have the cops for foot patrols. And what's happening is you're having 60 to 100 police a year or even more retiring in 6 months' time, and you're having 13 coming in.
Yeah.
So, Larry, it's a job people don't want anymore. And why? In part because they're being asked to deal with things that you and I can't even come up with an answer with, and they're expected to do that on the street every day.
It's a complicated fix. Phil, thank you for your time.